you doing? I'm going to follow up my previous video where we did a good old workout in the key of C. Hopefully some of you, it was a little bit more on the intermediate side last time, but you guys seem to enjoy it. So this is a follow-up. Last time we talked a lot about voicings and a little bit about chord connections or chord progressions. This time I'm going to do a follow-up and I'm going to be really more emphasizing the chord progressions and simplifying the voicings again. You know, I can't leave my beautiful beginners out. So here's the logic of this. The logic is we go from learning our chords and our scales and diatonic harmony, and then we move to common chord progressions, and then finally to songs. And that little dance between chord progressions and songs, you'll be looking at that for as long as you play, because pretty much every song is comprised, the melody is comprised, comes from some scale, and the chords are coming from some chord progression. Now, if you looked at 1,000 songs, you'd notice there's not 1,000 chord progressions. So this is Legos here. This is like rinse repeat. Some of these chord progressions you see over and over and over and over again. And we're going to use that to our advantage. If we learn these chord progressions, it's going to do several things. It's going to enhance our playing. We're going to recognize them. Our ear is going to get better at hearing them. And then maybe the beginners will play them a little differently than the advanced folks or the intermediate folks, but it's the same chord progression. So we're going to identify, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them in this video that they're just used in countless songs. So since they're used in countless songs, let's learn these chord progressions outside of the song. So when we see them in songs, we're already locked and loaded. The other thing is you can use chord progressions for more than playing songs. You can use chord progressions in like talk music. Something like that. Anyway, let's get this party going. And so before I get into the first chord progression, let's review, for those of you who don't know, a couple of ways to do diatonic harmony. And actually, I'm going to give you actually 3 ways to do it. So let's do traditional. This is what you see in jazz. There's the 1 chord. So the scale of C is all the white notes. Ho, ho, half, ho, 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 half. That's how you find any scale, any major scale, by the way. So in the key of C, it's white notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Now we're going to associate chords with those. If we take every other note in the diatonic scale, we get a major chord. And we do the same. Now we're going to get a 2 minor chord, a 3 minor chord, a 4 minor chord, a 5 minor chord, 5 major chord, sorry, a 6 minor chord, a 7 diminished chord, and we're back to 1. Okay, thank you, beginners. I played that in triads. Could have played that in 7 chords. This is more about the progressions in this video. If you want a little bit more advanced voicings and you haven't watched that chord workout in the key of C, might be a good time to go check that out, because these two are going to go together. The other way, even if you did watch that video, that chord workout in the key of C, once you get these progressions, then go back and use those chord voicings against these progressions. Because I'm going to keep the voicing simple in in this video. Okay, another way to look at diatonic harmony is the substitute chord, the gospel chord I call them. So 1 is the same. On the 2, I can play a 4/2. On the 3, I can play a 1/3. Watch my bass player. It's even sounding gospely. 4 is 4. 1 and 4 are the same. 5, I can do a lot of things on 5. I can play a 4/5. It gives me that sound I've been hearing all my life. That sound. So that's a 4/5. I can play 6/5. I can play a 1/5. I can do a lot of things over 5. So for now, let's do 5/5. Or this. Over the 6th chord, I can play a 1/6. Now you can analyze that as an A minor 7 chord if you like. You would certainly be correct. And the 7th chord, almost exclusively, I'm going to play a 5/7. So let's just walk that through. A lot of people like that way of playing. Let me do that again because your hands, this right hand is staying in close position. A lot of good voice leading going on here. So 1, 4/2, 1/3, 4. So I'm going to look at my right hand just jockeying back and forth between C and F. 1, 2, which is 4/2, 1/3, 4. Let's do a 1/5. 1/6. 5/7, and then we're back to 1 again. So those are requisite skills to know your diatonic harmony before we start jumping into chord progressions, because I might call off a chord progression and you have to have some way of playing it. The other thing is when we talk about chord progressions, in order to hear them, there's a couple things. Start training your ear to hear that bass note down there. So, I'm going to give you a few generalities, and that's all they are, is generalities. They're not hard and fast. So when you're on the 1 chord, right, and you're in a key, in this case we're in a key of C, the 1 chord can go to any other chord in the scale, any other chord in the scale. But it's more likely to go to 4, 6, or 2. 2, 4, and 6. That's his favorite places to go. So think of this scale as a neighborhood, right? 1 chord is leaving home and it's going someplace. It can go anywhere at once because it's the 1 chord. But it's more likely to go to 2, 4, or 6. So let's do a little ear training there. So if I did this, or maybe if I did this, what you want to be hearing is this. If you can't sing that, la, la. So don't worry about all this fancy stuff going on over here. So maybe this, you'll hear all that. But you want to hear this, or if that's too low for you, go. That's what you want to hear. So here's how I tend to practice it if I'm trying to train my ear. Some kind of 1 chord, and I'm going to bounce that bass. Because that's what I want my ear on, is that bass. Now if you got a friend to practice with, with, or you got an ear training program, that's great. That's great, because you can turn away and you can say, what chord is this? Does that sound like a 2 chord or a 1 chord? And then you can kind of test yourself. Does that sound like home bass? Now don't let the voicing fool you. Let's take this 1 chord. But see, here that bass is the same. Da 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 da. It could be this. And that bass is the same. So spend some time with ear training, and it'll really help you out, especially if you want to play by ear. So we went to the 2 chord. Now it can go to any chord, so you can train all of them if you want. But for purposes of this video, let's go to where it commonly wants to go in a lot of songs. Not all, but a lot of them. So let's take, last time we went here. Listen to that bass note. Oops, sorry. Now let's go to the 4 chord. Big difference, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to do different inversions just so you hear that the bass note's going to sound the same. Okay, so I make a name for that. So that 1 to 4 sounds to my ear stately. That's the name I would put on. They're both major chords. That's another ear training thing to identify by ear. Is that a major chord? Is that a minor chord? Is that ear training is a whole subject for a video, but you get what I'm trying to say. Now, the other place that the 1 chord is likely to go is to 6. Usually it goes down to, now, the 6th chord is minor. Oh, let's do it this way. Has a different texture to it. It sounds minor. Let's go up to the 6th. You get the idea. Spend a few minutes a day for a while on ear training and zone in on the bass. The other thing I would say about chord progressions is when you hear them in songs, pay some attention to wherever the melody note is. That'll tell you what inversions you have to be in and that kind of thing. But that could be the subject of a whole nother video. All right, get your pencil, your paper out, your notepad out. Here comes the first chord progression. And I mean, it is Mac Daddy. Hundreds of songs use this chord progression. It is the 1, 3, 4, 5. 1, 3, 4, 5. That's our first chord progression. So let's play. Let's hear it. 1. Now let's play a game. Let's play a game. We come up with a chord progression, and when you think of a song that reminds you of, stick it down in the comments down there. I can think of a lot of songs that use that chord progression. I need you, you need me, we're all alone. So you think of some songs that use that 1, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm repeating now, I left these voicings sparse, beginners. Beginners pick that up. So this is not a voicing video, it's a chord progression video. notice another thing I did to enhance that chord progression is my bass note. As I said, I was listening to my bass note. That's how I got the numbers. But you notice how I stayed on this G? Just makes it sweet. Gives the audience something to hook onto. See how I just wore that G out up there? Didn't have to do that. Let's do it in some kind of root position. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. You say, well, that sounded different, but it's the same chord progression. Same chord progression. Just the voicing up top has changed. So if I was playing Because of Who You Are, same chord progression. So work that chord progression. And another thing about chord progressions is don't let the rhythm trick you either. Some songs are, I'm a big lover of the ballads, the worship songs. It's just my thing. But a lot of times you'll hear that same chord progression go. So don't let the rhythm throw you off either. Because when you boil everything away, it's that bass note. I actually know a couple of keyboard players that actually picked up the bass guitar just to put their ear down there. 1, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's one down. Now, another common chord progression is, get your notebook out, is 1, 5, 6, 4. 1, 5, 6, 4. And again, let's play the game. You think of it, when you hear it, you think of a song, stick it in the comments down there. So, the 1 chord, some kind of C chord, to the 5 chord, to the 6 chord, to the 4 chord. I did the same thing with this G up here. Notice that? That's a common little device I use. Let me play it again for you. 1. Okay, what'd you come up with? Did you come up with songs like, did you come up with, let's see. Oh no, I played the wrong chord there. See, okay, let's just start that all over again. 1 chord to the 5 chord to the 6 chord. Let's do it this way. Or we do that. That time I got it right. So do you recognize that? Here I Am to Worship. That's a 1, 5, 6, 4 song. And don't worry, you can probably think of 10, 15, 20 other songs that use that exact same chord progression. So let's put it down here somewhere and maybe do a different inversion of one. If you go back to the chord workout that we did in the previous video, same key, that's why I kept it in this key, and you start putting some of those advanced voicings that we talked about in that video to this chord progression, you're going to come up with something very pretty. Okay, so far we had a 1, 3, 4, 5. Now we got a 1, 5, 6, 4. So let's change the mood a little bit and let's look at a progression that is 6, 4, 1, 5. So that's all of a sudden we're starting on a minor chorus. 4, 1. Pick up a song. There is power in the name of Six, 4, 1, 5. That's actually a good one for talk music too. Maybe go. Just disguise the melody a little bit. It won't know. It won't know you're thinking of some chord progression. Why? Because these chord progressions are used in a lot of songs. All right. So we have, I don't know, 3 of them so far. Let me stop here. And I told you earlier that the 1 chord can go anywhere. You can go anywhere. But a lot of times it'll go to 6 or 4 or 2. Let me just tell you probabilities on the other chords, because now once we get off the 1 chord, we can make some educated guesses now. Let's say we're on the 2 chord. What, 70, 80% of the time 2 is going to 5. The other times it might go to 3, it might go if it's, but if you want to play the odds, 2 is likely going to 5. Circle of 4 stuff. 3 is likely going to some kind of 6. 4, I'm thinking of songs now. 4 can go back to 1, like Amen. 4 can also likely go to 5, and then to 1. So 4, you're on less. I can't say 80% when I'm on 4. Because 4, like 1, has some choices to make. But a lot of times 4 goes home, or go to 5. 5. Now probably gonna go home to one. The sixth chord, this beautiful little sixth chord here. Sixth chord likes to go to two. Two likes to go to five. Five likes to go to one. Playing the sixth. Or now the sixth chord can walk up to one through the seventh chord. You'll hear that in a lot of intros. You'll hear this.
Unknown caller.
I should have killed that. Sorry. So now, if you're in some kind of minor key, there's that two chord, but it's a minor 7 flat 5. That'll go to some kind of dominant chord. Oh, we're back in the last video. So 7, 3, 6. Now let's talk about how songs are made up. You want to be a songwriter? Think of this. But if you want to be the piano player or the guitar player or any kind of chordal instrument player, you got to think like a songwriter. I tend to put the songs in buckets. It's either a 1-4-5 song, which is old, 4, and those tend to be traditional, old school kind of songs because that's where the music was back then. Or it can be diatonic. It could be a diatonic. What do I mean by that? So let's say if I played a 1, see how I just went boom, boom, boom. A lot of walking around in gospel, bouncing, what they call walking. That's diatonic. So jazz does that too, by the way. So when I recognize that bass line just walking up the scale, or some part of the scale, usually it doesn't mark the whole scale, but some part of the scale, then I'll recognize that as a diatonic or stepwise progression. It may not be in the song, but you may insert it in the song like a passing chord. Okay, in modern music, the circle of fourths has just taken over. And so the circle of fourths is what I was just saying. So if you want to learn the circle of fourths, you probably want to learn this progression. 1, 4, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, 4. That's the circle. Now, for those of you who don't know the circle of fourths, go online and get a picture of it. Sometimes you'll see it called the circle of fifths. But music tends to move in fourths. C, upper fourth to F, F, upper fourth to B flat, B flat, upper fourth to E flat. Let's go down here. E flat, upper fourth to A flat, A flat to D flat, D flat to G flat, to B, E, A, D, G, and then we're back to C again. That circle, because it's so often used to guide songs around, or some portion of that circle, it's a good idea to just memorize that circle. Okay, want to do another chord progression? Sure. All right. Okay, so here is another just common chord progression. 1, 6, 4, 5. Now, if we were talking jazz, it'd be a 1, 6, 2, 5. But in gospel, you'll hear a lot more four chord. Okay, let me digress again. In diatonic harmony, there are substitutes because a lot of the notes are the same. One chords and three chords, let's call them cousins. They can substitute for each other. A lot of the same notes. The two chord and the four chord are also substitutes. So 1 and 3, 2 and 4. 5 and 7 are also substitutes. So 6, 1, 3, and 6, to a lesser degree 6, to my ear anyway. But 1 and 3 definitely are substitutes, but you can throw 6 into that same bucket. So I gave you a couple of chord progressions. What's the last one I gave you? 1, 5, 6, 4, I think it was. So 1, 6, 4. You can take that progression. Don't let me get too advanced on you though. You can take that progression and throw some substitutions in. So instead of saying a 1, 5, 6, 4, you can say a 3, 5, 6, 4. Say a 1, 5, 6, 2, because 4 and 2 are substitutes. So let's try that. So you can see how these substitutes can open up just endless possibilities of chord progressions if you happen to be writing songs. You also catch them in songs too. You'll say, hey, wait a minute, you never gave me that progression. Well, I did, but it's kind of a substitute. So we were talking about 1, 6, 4, 5. So that's this. Okay, did you hear a song? That's a 1, 6, 4, 5. Going to the 6. Six, 4, 5 progression. Okay, so I think those are enough for today. So basically what we did here is we simplified the voicings a little bit. So we didn't get too fancy with the voicings. So we put our attention onto the chord progressions themselves. Now here's what I'd like for you to do. Go find your favorite song. Go find your favorite worship song, gospel song, whatever song you want to find. And then look at the chords that they're giving you and analyze those chords and see if you can come up with what chord progression is this song using. And then put that in the comments and share it with all of us. Like in Detroit, hopefully you're having fun. If you have any questions, let me know. All right, bye-bye.